Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, baby. It's your boy Icon with another DC animated review for you. Battle of the Super Sons, Batman and Superman. And this was barely about Batman and Superman because, of course, this is about the Super Sons. And it's been a while. I've taken a much needed break. Not so much on purpose, but because, Doom Patrol never came back and Titans never came back. So, I enjoyed like the much, anticipated break, did some things, got some rest, caught up on some stuff. But we're getting back into the superhero biz because we got some animated movies coming out. We have some other great projects coming out as well. And of course, The Flash is coming out for their final season. And eventually we will get Doom Patrol and Titans back, and then we'll get Superman and Lois back. There's the Shazam Fury of the Gods film that's coming out. And then we also have the Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantumania. So there's definitely some stuff coming up. So let's get back into this review bizonesse as we discuss the Super Sons. So in this particular movie, it starts strictly about the Kent family. Like, Batman didn't come into the fold until like halfway through the first 25 minutes of this thing is about the Kent family. They show you, young Kal-El getting sent off in his rocket ship from his parents. They show us something different this time, where when his parents had put him in the rocket to send him off to Earth, there was a star creature that was attached to young Kal-El's ship, and it made its way to Earth along with him. Fast forward, I guess 30 years later now, we're in Smallville, Superman and Lois. We go through Superman's whole career, like his life, him and Lois and everything, his parents dying, him taking over the farm, and now both he and Lois, they live on the farm with their son, Johnny. So Johnny's there, and then it's the typical, they did the whole thing like with Superman and Lois, where they didn't tell Johnny that his dad was Superman. So when Superman has to go out and fight crime and save the world and save the galaxy, whatever, he comes up with these lies and tells his son, and then his son's like, oh, your job's not that important, why are you never around? And then he's like, oh, I'm a reporter, and he's like, but being a reporter sucks. And there's a little bit of animosity towards his dad because, again, he is Superman and he has to take over the world, and children don't understand that. So his birthday's coming up, he's on the softball team, and then, Superman told him, he was like, don't worry, son, I'll be there for your game. He doesn't show up for his game, and then his son gets mad, and he's just like, oh, you don't care about me, all you care about is your stupid job. And then he runs off into the cornfields, and because of the emotional stress of what he was going through, it actually kickstarted his heat vision, and he blew up a water tower. So now he thinks he's a freak, and then he's crying, and he's talking to his dad, and his dad shows up, and then his dad, just like Superman and Lois, he shows up flying in front of him wearing the Superman costume, and he's like, son, I am your father, and I'm Superman. And then he's just like, holy shit, like, my dad's Superman. He's like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then he's just like, oh, you're the second best, greatest superhero of all time, because his son is a fan of Batman, which I thought was hilarious. And then the funny thing about that is, it's like, 2 seconds ago, he was just like, oh, you don't love me, you don't care about me, you're still never around. And then when he finds out he's Superman, he's like, holy shit, my dad's the greatest of all time. And I'm like, but he's still never around. And like, him being Superman doesn't, and because he never actually expressed the fact that he understood that, it was just like, oh, you're a Superman, so like now all is forgiven. But then, Lois is freaking out, and Lois had a funny line too, because she said, is it just heat vision, or can he fly, or does he have super strength? And then she said, does he have x-ray vision? Because she's like, if he has x-ray vision, we can never send him to school where there are women ever again. And, but he was just like, oh, I gotta look into this. I gotta take my son and go, run some tests, whatever. So in order to do that, you gotta go to the resonated expert, which I guess is Bruce Wayne, and they make their way to Gotham City. When they make their way to Gotham City, that's when we finally get to see Batman, and then we get to see Robin, aka Damian Wayne. They go into the Batcave, they meet Damian Wayne for the first time, who is a complete and utter asshole. I mean, like, this Damian Wayne, he's probably like a tad worse than the one that was in all the previous animated series, like, Batman versus, Robin, the son of Batman, whatever. But that kid was just like an arrogant prick. Like, this one's just a straight up dickhead. The way he talks to everybody, the way he treats everybody. I don't know why he did the voice, because, the voice wasn't needed, because the whole movie he was just like, yes, like, I'm the grandson of the demon, and I've killed more people than you ever had. And I'm like, why are you talking like that? Why is he talking like that? So obviously him and Kent don't get along, because Kent's like the cornbread goody two shoes from the farm, and he's like, oh, I'm the grandson of the demon, and my father's Batman. He ended up like pushing Damian off a cliff to try to like jumpstart some of his power, because Batman had said that after the test he ran, he couldn't find any powers, but he said that if the first one was triggered by extreme emotion, then extreme emotions will trigger the rest of them. And that's when Damian was doing all these things to try to like scare him and spook him and whatever. It didn't work, and the kid, he only has like the one power for now. So earlier in the film, there was a moment where Superman had left to go save like a rocket that he thought was crashing out of the sky. It ended up being the Justice League Watchtower, which the Green Arrow was on. And then the Green Arrow was just like, something happened that knocked us out of orbit. And then we find out that Green Arrow and everybody else who was in the Justice League at that moment, they were taken over by the Starro monster, who I guess grew up in like the Watchtower for like X amount of years, and then eventually just started like slowly like bringing out kids to slowly take over. Starro's been a thing for a while. Like DC's been trying to make Starro a thing for a while. It was in the Suicide Squad. It's in like Gotham Knights. Like Starro's making like he's putting some respect on his name to let people know who he is. So Starro's taking over the entire Justice League. Batman and Superman, they go to investigate, and then when they go to investigate, they themselves also get taken over by the Starro monster. There was a moment where Damian Wayne, dressed as Robin, he was in the Batcave, and he was on the phone talking to Wonder Girl. And Wonder Girl had said that his application to join the Titans was denied because they said Damian Wayne, he's not a people person, if you will, and he doesn't have good social skills. He's not good, in a team sense of the word, like he doesn't play well with others, and because of that, the Titans denied his application. They say the nay, and Damian is unallowed to join the Titans. So he's up in his feelings about that, but he tries to play it off like he's cool. There was also a moment where Jonathan, when they were on their way to Gotham City, he was just like, oh, if I have superpowers now, that means I can be a superhero and I can join the Justice League. He was like, but I need a superhero name. And when he was coming up with all the different types of superhero names, one of the superhero names that he did say was Superboy, but then he was like, oh, wait, no, that's taken. So now we know the clone of Superman and Lex Luthor, the Superboy, he exists in this world, in this universe, and that's going to turn into something later, especially when we get the Lex reveal. When they showed the Titans, there was a graphic up that had the Titans. We had the Wonder Girl, we had Kid Flash, we had the Black Aqualad. Like there were different. There was like this little Young Justice mixed into it as well. I believe Beast Boy was on that list too, but apparently Superboy is also on the list. So it opens up the universe now, because it's like, what are we going to call Kent now if there actually is a Superboy? So Jonathan's back home. He's trying to, relish in the fact that he has superpowers and everything. His dad gave him the Kent glasses for no reason whatsoever. And then Batman, who's now under the control of the Star Monster, he went back into the Batcave and he tried to possess Damian. Damian got out of it because, he's the grandson of the demon, so he's been trained to know when these things are coming. He stops Batman from controlling him with Starro tech, like we'll just call it. And then his dad like threw him off a cliff and he thought he was dead, but he used the grappling hook to save himself. And then when he checked the Batcave database computer, he saw that all the members of the Justice League and the Titans were taken over by Starro monsters, and the only person who was labeled as a threat who wasn't taken over yet was Jonathan Kent. So Damian goes down to the Smallville farm. He snatches up Jonathan Kent. He's just like, hey, our dads are in trouble. I need your help. And then, Jonathan's like, what do you mean our dads are in trouble? And then his mom shows up at the school, and then she ends up being taken over by a Starro monster. They kill the Starro monster. They free Lois Lane. So now Lois Lane is back to normal. She's trying to warn the entire public about a Starro invasion. She ends up talking to a black Jimmy Olsen. And then Jimmy tells her that in order for her to warn the world about the Starro invasion, she needs presidential level access to be able to interrupt broadcasts all over the world. So then that's when she gets the idea to actually go down to the White House. And when she goes to the White House and gets the president to agree to do a broadcast to warn the public about the Star monsters, we find out that the president of the United States is one Lex Alexander Luthor. And I thought that was hilarious. So Lex is the president, and then when he got on TV to warn, he didn't warn the public about the Starro monsters. He actually got on TV and told them, succumb to their will and let Starro command you and take you over. And then Lois knocked him out because she was like, bro, I'm a reporter. I knew you were taken over by the Starro monsters as soon as I saw you. The only reason why she went on with the charade was because she needed Lex to put the cameras on so she could talk to the world. And then that's when she told her son, Jonathan, she was like, Jonathan, these things, they're vulnerable to heat. They're vulnerable to heat. You know what to do, son. So then that's when Jonathan and Damian, they come up with the realization that the whole thing with the Starro monsters, it's happening on the Watchtower in outer space. So they end up going to the Fortress of Solitude. They speak to the holographic Jor-El. He gives them the rundown. He tells Jonathan who he is with his lineage. And then now the two of them have to go to outer space. They go to outer space in the rocket ship that Kal-El came in when he first came to Earth. They get on the spaceship. They're fighting the Starro monster. They're fighting their dads because their dads were taken over. This big battle ensues. And during the whole film, Damian Wayne and Superboy ended up becoming friends. They ended up becoming close, and they developed a bond, and they developed some chemistry. Because the whole theory of the whole thing was that Jonathan Kent was a loner, and he was like the nerd kid, and then Damian Wayne, he didn't play well with others, so the two of them found what they were missing in each other, and now they're like the new young dynamic duo. So after fighting the Star Monsters and after fighting their daddies, they end up crashing the Watchtower down to Earth. You know, they snap their dads out of everything. They help fight the Star Monster. They defeat the Star Monster, and the entire world is saved. Jonathan never flew, though, but he did develop super strength. He did develop the invulnerability. He didn't get freeze breath. I don't remember him seeing freeze breath, but the powers, I like the fact that they didn't actually give him all the powers right away. There was a moment where they were in the Fortress of Solitude where he did leap tall buildings in a single bound, but he didn't actually fly. So the powers, again, like they're still coming in, but they haven't fully manifested to this point. So again, so they save the day, you know, everything's hunky-dory. The Titans come back with their tails between their legs. They're just like, oh, Damien, we changed our minds and we'd love to have you as a Titan. And he was like, oh, can't hear you, bitch. And then he hangs up the phone. You know, the Wayne family and the Kent family, they go watch Jonathan Kent's baseball game. And the thing is, now that he has superpowers and now that he has super strength, he can't actually be on the team like that because then he'll be hitting home runs every 10 seconds. So he ends up like, you know, dumbing down his power just to fit into society. He ends up bunting the ball, but it was like a strong bunt, which was also funny. And then after that, Damian Wayne and Jonathan Kent, they're sitting on top of a water tower talking about the next thing that they're going to do. And then Damian pushes him off the water tower. Then he's like, oops, boy still can't fly. And that's how the film ended. And thank you for tuning in. So this was very enjoyable. You know, like I give it a solid 8 because it is something that you can watch. But what I am interested about, you know, is regarding this movie, bringing in the Titans and actually showing us the Titans, who the Titans are, the picture graphic of the Titans, and then the Titans saying at the end that they actually want Damian Wayne to be a member of the Titans. You can't bring Damian Wayne onto the Titans team without now bringing in Jonathan Kent. So I would like to see a sequel to this where the two of them together do join the Titans, and then this whole big thing happens with the Titans, and maybe they got to save the Titans. And I just want to see the dynamic with the different characters coming together, interacting with all the superhero children. So that's going to be pretty cool, and we'll see what happens in the next one, because I believe the next film that's supposed to come out, well, at least on HBO Max, is the Supergirl film, the one where Supergirl comes to Earth for the first time, and then, you know, she's trying to get acclimated to the world. It was the Legion. It was the Legion of Superhero movie that was starring Supergirl. So looking forward to that. That's on DVD and Blu-ray, but it's not on HBO Max as of yet. As you all know, like they put these things out like spaced out, you know, so this way, you know, they can get the DVD and the Blu-ray sales first, and then that's when they put on HBO Max. So now that we got the SuperSons will probably be up for maybe like a month or so, and then we'll get the Legion of Superhero, Long Live the Legion. We'll get that one as well. And then there's another anime that's coming out soon. I believe it's called Batman, not Batman Dark, Batman like Blood or Batman Powers, some dark shit, like some gritty, dark, majestical thing with Etrigan and everything. Batman Doom, I believe that's what it was. It was called Batman Doom. So that's gonna be the third one. So we will wait for that. All this animated goodness, because we love this DC animated TV, as we continue for the next one. I found out yesterday that Doom Patrol and Titans is ending this season, so I'm not happy about that. So when both seasons do, I guess that's probably why they both took a mid-season break, was so once they got the news that they weren't going to get a chance to, you know, go forward with a season 5, they can now conclude both of their seasons. So the second half of both of their seasons will be gearing us towards the end. Not looking forward to that, but, you know, it is what it is at this point. Can't complain. That's the problem with having Discovery in the mix, and we'll see how things progress as we move forward. So check me out on Instagram and on Twitter, as always on YouTube, where you can leave your questions, comments, and concerns. Let me know what you thought about the SuperSons. Let me know what you thought about this potential world that they could possibly be building, and are we going to get a sequel, or is Discovery going to cancel that too? So thanks for tuning in, guys. So until next time, when I put up some more reviews, check me out as always, because I also will be doing some live streaming on some PlayStation for a little Street Fighter, and maybe little governments as well. Until then, keep your suns close, look up to the sky, because we're out this bitch.